Okay, this video is going to show you the basic stitches for crochet beginners. This is a follow-up to anyone who has come to my basic stitches for crochet beginners class. This is just a follow-up video as a reminder of everything that you learnt at the class, and in case you forgot, because it was a lot of information in 3-hour time frame. So this will just be a nice reminder that you can come back and watch whenever you want to. So I've got my supplies, I've got my yarn, I've got my crochet hook that corresponds to my yarn size, 8-ply 4mm hook. I've got a pair of scissors, darning needle and some stitch markers. And we're ready to go. I'll show you initially how to do a slip knot again. So you've got your yarn, your tail here, and you grab the working end, which is the working end is what is attached to the ball of yarn, and you're going to wrap it around your finger just like that. And then we're going to take this tail and loop it forward like that, so your tail is crossing over. And then we're going to take this one here and we're going to go over the tail, take it off and over your finger, and then you're going to pull these two tight, keeping your finger in that loop, and that makes your slip knot. I'll show you one more time. Tail, wrap around, tail goes forward. This one goes off and over your finger, keeping your finger in that loop like that. And then you want to pull these two tight, and that makes your slip knot. Then you pop it on your hook, and you'll find your tail makes it smaller and your working end makes it bigger when you pull on that. And that's how you want it to be. Specifically, if you have issues with tension, you want the tail to be the one that pulls it tighter, not the working end. Because if the working end is pulling your yarn tighter as you're doing your starting chain, you'll find that that affects your tension and makes your chain quite tight. So I've popped that on my hook. I don't know if you can see clear enough, but you can see that I've got a little gap here. I'm not very tight. My slip knot, you don't want your slip knot super tight like that. That's no good, because that's your tension is going to be very tight. So I like to have my slip knot just a little bit on the looser side, just like that, just so it moves freely on your hook. This is the working part of your hook, and what you want to do now is make a chain. We're going to make a chain of 10, and to do that we're going to yarn over. So you take the working end of your yarn and you wrap it over your hook like so, and your hook is facing that way. And then I'm going to hold this slip knot. I'm going to turn my hook to face my lap, and I'm going to pull that through there just like that. And now I'm going to show you again. I'm holding here, just holding that gently. I'm not pulling it, I'm not holding it tight. And then I'm sliding my work down. I'm using the hook to pull it through there. And then I see how I'm sliding it back here. I'm sliding it back here because this is the working part of my hook. So I want to get my chain to that right size. If you just work down here, your chain is not the right size because you haven't got the right size for your hook. Here is the working part of your hook, and this size will change when you go up or down hook sizes. So it's very important that you are moving your work back down to here when you're making stitches to get the correct size, tension, etc. So you just practice, you'll get the hang of it. Keep practicing. Practicing chaining is a very good way to check your tension and to adjust your tension and to see how your tension is. So you want your chains to look something like that, where they all look consistent, but they're not super tight. My chains are not really tight, not really loose, but they're very consistent in size, and that's what you want, because you've got to work stitches back into this chain. So if you're making this chain very tight, you're just making it harder for yourself. And some people think that making their chain nice and tight makes it nice and neat, but that's actually just creating more trouble for yourself when you have to go back and work your stitches into this chain. So I'll show you how to count your chain as well now. So this loop on my hook is called my working loop. We never count that loop. You don't ever count that. So when we count our chain, we are counting these bumps that go across here. I'll show you with the darning needle. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 chains on my hook. I hope you can see that. So every little bump or these little V's, see there's 3 parts to the chain. You've got the outside V and then you've got this inside part here. That's a chain. That is one chain on your hook there. Just one part of that chain. So now we've got our chains and we've got 16. I'm now going to show you how to do a single crochet. We will start with a single crochet. So I'm going to skip the first chain. That's going to be my turning chain. And then I'm going to work a single crochet into this second chain from my hook. Here's my hook. Here's my working loop. Here's the chain I'm skipping. Here's the chain I'm working into. So I'm going to insert my hook, and I'm going to insert my hook into the top 2 parts of that yarn. So I'm going to pick up 2 parts, and I have 2 parts of the chain on top and 1 on the bottom of my hook. That's just my preferred method. I feel like it gives a nicer finish on your bottom chain. And then I'm going to, with the working loop and the chain space on my hook, I'm going to yarn over and pull a loop up through that chain space. And then I have 2 loops on my hook. For a single crochet, I just yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So again, I put my hook into my chain space, my next chain space. I've got 2 parts of that chain space on the top and 1 on the bottom of my hook. And I'm going to yarn over and pull up a loop, which will give me 2 loops on my hook. And then I yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. That is a single crochet. So I've done 1, 2. Now I'm going to do a third one. Insert my hook into that chain space, and I'm going to yarn over and pull up a loop, which leaves me with 2 loops on my hook. And then I'm going to yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. I'm going to do that all the way down my chain, and then I will show you how to turn your work at the end of your chain space. My yarn just split then. Insert my hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. It's a bit fiddly on the chain. The chain is always a little bit fiddly and a little bit slower to work into. But once you get the hang of it, you're off and racing, and the second row is much easier because you're working into a stitch, not into a chain. So this is where I said earlier, if you do your chain too tight, you're just making it harder for yourself because it's harder to get the hook into your chain space. So if you can't get into your chains easily, I suggest you pull your chain apart and practice until you get it nice and consistent tension that's not too tight and not too loose. Now I'm at my last chain space. I'm making my last single crochet. Here is my single crochet row that I've just done. Now I'm going to chain 1. This is called a turning chain. I am not going to count that as a stitch. For a single crochet, I've chained 1, and then I'm going to turn my work, and I'm going to work back down into my single crochets. So to work into my single crochet, here's the last one I made. Here's my chain 1. I'm going to put my hook into there. I'm making sure my hook is going into both loops of those little V's. all the way down. That is your stitch space. You want to go in to there, making sure you're picking up both. And then I'm going to yarn over and pull up a loop. I've got 2 loops on my hook like before. I yarn over and pull through 2. Hook goes into the space, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. And I'm going to do that all the way down on my single crochet row. So insert your hook, picking up, going through both of those loops, yarn over and pull through 2. Insert your hook, almost yarned over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, all the way down. So you'll have 2 rows completed at the end of this, and then I'm going to show you how to do a half double crochet after this on the next row. All the way down, and that is my turning chain there, so I'm not stitching into that. I'm going to show you now on the next row. So now I've got 2 rows of single crochet. I'm now going to show you a half double crochet stitch. I'll just unwind some of my yarn so it's not rolling all over the table. Now my turning chain for this, some patterns will tell you to do 2 turning chains. I'm just going to do 1. Sorry, I'm drinking my coffee. Because I know that's right for my tension. Once you get the hang of things, you'll know whether you need to do 1, 2, 3, depending on your stitch, turning chains for your tension. So I'm just going to chain 1, and I'm chaining 1 quite loosely, and then I'm turning my work. Now, I don't want my chain 1 to count as a stitch. That is just a turning chain for me. So I am going to do my first half double crochet into that space. If you were doing, some patterns will tell you to chain 2, and then you skip that because that will count as a stitch, and then you would go into this one, your second stitch. But I'm just doing a chain 1, and I'm going to count that as a turning chain only and not a stitch chain. So then I'm going to work my first half double crochet right into here, into that V there. That's my chain 1 turning. This is my stitch. So to do a half double crochet, you yarn over, you insert your hook, making sure you go through both loops of that V on there, and then you yarn over and pull up a loop, and you will have 3 loops on your hook. You yarn over and you pull through all 3 loops in one go. And you can see I'm in that stitch now. I'm going to do another one. So I yarn over, I insert my hook into the next space, going through both loops of that V. I yarn over and pull up a loop, and it gives me 3 loops on my hook. I yarn over and pull through all 3. So again, yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through 3, all the way down until you are at the end of your row. This is called a half double crochet. All my videos are worked in US terminology. UK is totally different. The stitch still gives the same result, but the stitch will have a different name. So that's a trick for young players. Can be quite confusing when you're watching videos if they don't specify what stitch they're doing, or what terminology they're using. I'm using US terminology, and I'm going to do my last half double crochet into that last space like so. This is my turning chain here, so I am ignoring that, and I finish here in my last stitch, and then I chain 1 and I turn my work, and I will work another row of half double crochet. So again, my turning chain is just giving me a bit of height for this next row, but it's not counting as a stitch. So I'm going into that first stitch there because I'm not counting it, the turning chain, as a stitch. So I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to go into here, yarn over and pull up a loop, 3 on my hook, yarn over and pull through all 3, all the way down again. And you can see I'm going into every stitch on the way down. I'm holding my work as I go, but I'm not pulling on it. I'm not pulling my yarn super tight. I've just got my yarn looped over my index finger. I'm not pulling that tight at all because I want my tension to be consistent. And then when I get to the end of this row, I am going to show you how to do a double crochet. So I'm almost at the end. 2 more stitches to work. Oops, I only got 1. There we go, there's my last half double crochet. Now I've got 2 rows of single crochet and 2 rows of half double crochet. Now I am going to do a double crochet. So to do a double crochet, for my tension, the chain stitch is 3. 1, 2, 3, and I turn my work. That gives me the height for this row. Now with this stitch, because it's a 3 chain and it's quite high, for beginners, I am going to count that as my first crochet double. So I'm going to skip this one and I'm going to work my double crochet into there. I don't actually do chains anymore. I actually do what's called a stacked double crochet. I just think it gives a straighter, neater edge, but that's more intermediate sort of stitch techniques. So I'm not going to show you that today. I'm just going to show you a double crochet, and I'm going not into here because this 3 chains is going to count as my first stitch. I'm going to miss that because that's where my chain 3 is, and I'm going to go into here. So a double crochet is you yarn over, insert your hook, again picking up the 2 loops, yarn over and pull up a loop, and you will have 3 loops on your hook. Now see here, I've pulled it up nice and high to get my tension, and I'm almost as high as my 3 chains, and I'm going to yarn over and pull through the first 2 only, and then yarn over and pull through the last 2. And what I want is my chain to be the same height as my double crochet, which it is. So the next one, I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook into the next chain space like that. I'm going to yarn over and pull up a loop, and I've got 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. I'm going to do that all the way down. So I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, all the way down. Sorry if you can hear my dog crying. He's got himself outside and he wants to come back in, but he's going to have to wait till this video comes off because I'm not starting again. So sorry if you can hear him. He's a big baby. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, oh, yarn over, pull through 2. Sorry, now he's barking. Probably barking at a bird. Now I'm just going to do 1 row of double crochet because I think we've got the hang of it, and it should have the hang of it after 1 row. And I'm going to show you how to do a treble crochet on this last row, that I'm about to do. Now, a treble crochet is just a higher version of a double crochet. So you can see I've got single, single, half double, and a double. Now we're going to do a treble crochet. So for a treble crochet, I chain 4. That suits my tension. 2, 3, 4, and then I turn my work. And I'm not going to work into here. I'm going to work into this next one. So for a treble, I'm going to yarn over twice, and I'm going to insert my hook into that stitch. And I'm going to yarn over and pull up a loop. I'm really trying hard to ignore my dog, sorry. And I've got 4 loops on my hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to yarn, Leroy, stop. Yarn over and pull through 2. Yarn over and pull through 2. And yarn over and pull through 2. So that is my first treble crochet. A treble crochet is quite a loose stitch. So I'll show you again. Yarn over once, yarn over twice. Insert your hook into your next stitch. Yarn over and pull up a loop with 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. Once you get the whole row done, I'll stop and show you what I mean. But it's a bit more of an open stitch because it's tall. So every stitch is good for something. The most common used stitch would be a double crochet. And a lot of decorative stitches are variations of double crochets. Half doubles and singles give you quite a tight finish. Oops, I only yarned over once then instead of twice. For something that you want to be quite thick and warm, you would use those stitches. I call a treble crochet a summer stitch. For me, I would use it as a summer stitch for a cardigan or a nice crochet light cotton top. You want it quite open and airy. Again, I only did 1 yarn over. So double yarn over. Becomes a habit because the double crochet is the most used stitch. So it becomes a very big habit of just yarning over once and having to correct yourself. And then there's my last stitch there, which is in the top of my chain 3 from the row below of my double crochet. All right, so you can see I've got 2 rows of single crochet, 2 rows of single crochet, 2 rows of half double, a row of double, and a row of treble. Now you can see the difference in the weaves, obviously, how much looser and open they are, and how the difference in the heights, and what you want to use the stitches for. Now the last one that I want to show you is a slip stitch. So I'm going to just chain 1 as a turning chain only and turn my work, and I'm going to do a slip stitch into here. Now to do a slip stitch, you don't yarn over, you just put your hook in and you pull up a loop, and then you pull that through the working loop. So again, a slip stitch is something that a pattern will ask you to do to finish off a round, maybe to put a border or an edging on something, or it might just be a decorative round in the middle of a pattern. But this is how you do a slip stitch. It's quite a common request in a pattern, for finishing rounds especially. So you put your hook in, so no yarn over, you just got your working loop on, put your hook into the space and you pull up a loop, and then you don't yarn over, you just pull that through the working loop. So hook into the space, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, pull the front one through the back one, and that is a slip stitch. Now when you're finishing a row, I'll show you at the end of this row, I'll slip stitch all the way down, and I will show you how to finish off your work. So this slip stitch will give you a nice little edge on this, just a simple common edging to finish off something. And then once I get to the end, I will show you how to cut your yarn and pull the tail through, and then I can let my sad old doggo back inside. He can just walk inside on his own, by the way, but he needs someone to hold the curtain out of the way because he's a bit of an old boy and doesn't see very well. And I'm babbling. Anyway, all right, I'm at the end of my row now, and you can see my slip stitches just put that little tidy border across the top. So now what I'm going to do is going to cut my yarn just like that, cut a tail off, and then you can see I've just pulled that loop a little tight, but what I'm going to do is yarn over on the tail that's cut off. So it's cut off, I'm going to yarn over and pull that through all the way through just like that. So it looks like that, and then I pull that tight, and that finishes my end. So that is my little sample pattern. Oops, that treble crochet there is a bit tricky, and normally for beginners I suggest you do the chains. At the intermediate classes I show you how to do stacked double and stacked treble crochets to get a nice straighter edge on it, but that's another class altogether. Okay, if you have any questions, pop them below or send me a message. Thank you.